As all eyes are focused on President Trump and Putin's meeting in Alaska for Ukraine ceasefire, EU foreign ministers are going to hold an urgent meeting on Ukraine on Monday. This as fighting on the battlefield continues to rage. Russia has said its defense forces have intercepted 121 Ukrainian drones, including 29 over the territory of Krasnodar. A huge fire and thick smoke was seen rising from an industrial facility after what the governor of the Russian region of Saratov said was a Ukrainian drone attack. At least one person has died and the industrial facility has been damaged as a result of the attack. Ukraine's military says it had taken back a village in the Sumy region from the Russian army, which has made significant recent gains. The military general staff said Ukrainian troops have liberated and completely cleared Russian forces from Bezlavivka. It said 18 Russian troops had been eliminated in the fighting. Kyiv says a new round of Moscow's shelling and drone attacks killed 5 people in Ukraine on Sunday. 3 beachgoers were also killed in the Black Sea coastal city of Odessa after they tripped on a mine while swimming in a prohibited area. On the diplomatic front, according to a Wall Street Journal report, Russian President Vladimir Putin presented the Trump administration this week with a sweeping proposal for a ceasefire in Ukraine, demanding major territorial concessions by Kyiv and a push for global recognition of its claims in exchange for a halt to the fighting. President Trump said on Friday he would meet with Putin in Alaska on August 15. Following Putin's proposal, he did not provide additional information about the meeting or the exact location, but said that they were close to a deal that could resolve the 3.5-year conflict. Zelensky has said Ukraine will not consider surrendering land to Russia to buy peace. In a post on social media, Zelensky said, and I quote, "Any decisions that are taken without Ukraine are at the same time decisions against peace. They will not achieve anything." European leaders expressed serious reservations about Putin's proposal, which would require Ukraine to hand over eastern Ukraine, a region known as the Donetsk. In a joint statement, European leaders say that the path to peace in Ukraine cannot be decided without Kyiv. According to reports, EU top diplomats said any US-Russia deal must also include the European Union. The leaders of Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Finland and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said borders must not be changed by force. The Wall Street Journal report quoted a US official who said that Putin called for pausing the war at current lines in both regions and then would negotiate land swaps with Ukraine, aiming for full Moscow control of Zaporizhia and Kherson. Now, reports say the White House is considering inviting Zelensky. A senior US official and 3 people briefed on the internal discussion were quoted in the reports said no visit has been finalized as of now, and that it's unclear if Zelensky would ultimately be in Alaska.
He's all dressed up today.
Mr. Peter Kuznick is a professor of history and director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at American University. He is now joining us live from Italy. Mr. Kuznick, good to see you and thank you very much for making time for us. What do you make of the meeting or the purported meeting between President Putin and President Trump, if it happens?
I think it's going to happen, and I think it's going to be a very important step toward resolving this war. You know, the world is ready for this war to be ended. Russian people are ready for the war to be ended. Most Ukrainians are ready for the war to be ended. They're not happy with some of the way this is being done, but it seems like a valid first step in getting a permanent ceasefire and end to the fighting. Mm-hmm. It's painful for Ukraine because they're going to end up having to give up territory. This is territory that the Russians have been holding for some time now. And the thing that we have to remember is that in Crimea, the overwhelming majority of people would rather be part of Russia than part of Ukraine. In the Donbass, the Luhansk and Donetsk, the majority of people there, not as much as in Crimea, but the majority there would also rather be part of Russia. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what the situation is in Kherson and Zaporizhia, and there's mixed signals coming out whether Putin is really going to try to keep all of the land that his army now holds, which would mean most of Zaporizhia and most of Kherson, mm-hmm. or he's going to simply settle for the Donbass, Luhansk and Donetsk, and be willing to give the other parts back. It looks like he wants the entirety of Luhansk and Donetsk. Luhansk, he already has almost the entire oblast, but less than Donetsk. But I think the deal that he's looking for is to get the rest of those two provinces that his army does not yet control, but will eventually. So the question is, will Zelensky swallow this bitter pill and go along with this giving up land, or will he resist, at which point very likely Donald Trump will stop aid and intelligence to Ukraine, and Ukraine will end up potentially losing much more of its territory than it will in this settlement.
Well, the president has already tweeted, he says, I'm talking about Zelensky, he says that he cannot give up territory just for peace, so we'll see how that pans out. The European Union says that it wants to be involved in these talks. They also suggest that President Zelensky should be in Alaska to meet President Trump and Putin. What do you think?
I think that the next step of this process will very likely include Zelensky. But the first step to get this off the ground is just going to be between Putin and Trump, and they're going to come to some kind of understanding. My guess is they've already come to an understanding, and they would not have done so, would not have had the summit meeting unless they had already had an understanding. And from what Trump's been saying and Witkoff's been saying, it looks like it's going to be Ukraine giving up land for peace. And there are other issues, right? Putin is going to demand that Ukraine not be part of NATO, which seems to be, everybody understands that it's not going to happen anyway, at least not for a long time. We're not sure what form Putin is going to want that commitment to take. He also talked about demilitarization and denazification. He's certainly not going to get full demilitarization or full denazification, but there'll be some progress along both those lines.
Okay.
And, yeah.
All right, Peter Kuznick, it's good to see you. We'll have to end it there. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.